Hi guys and welcome back. Today I want to talk about a topic that I think we've pretty much all suffered through, but I want to talk a bit about working through the lack of inspiration or what to do when you just don't feel like drawing. And this probably is one of the most frustrating challenges that I have as an artist, because a lot of things that you struggle with as an artist you can pinpoint and you know, okay, well, I can do exactly this. It may be hard, it may be something that you have to work at for a long time, but usually you can kind of figure it out. But I find with this kind of a problem, it's very hard to grasp. It's really mental and it can come from a lot of different sources and you can never really quite pinpoint exactly what causes it. But I do want to talk a bit about two sources that I've found that kind of tip me into this point where I feel really uninspired about art and about that drive to make more art and some of the things that I do about it. I honestly have found that a lot goes into just being aware of it, that when I'm thinking about it and realizing, well, okay, maybe this is why I'm feeling this way, it actually really does help me move past it. But specifically, when I'm feeling like this, when I'm feeling really uninspired, I don't want to draw, I like to take a minute to think about the past few pieces that I've done. And this usually tells me instantly where my source of this feeling is coming from. And oftentimes when I look at that, I realize it goes either two ways. One way is that I look at the past couple of pieces that I've done and I feel really great about them. When I was working on them, I felt really inspired. I had great ideas and I felt like I pushed myself above and beyond where I normally am with my artwork, and I feel like it's putting me into a new space, somewhere where I can make better art consistently. And then I realized that I've done that for a few pieces in a row, and then I hit that point, the point that I'm at where I'm completely uninspired, and I realize it's because I worked through all of these great ideas that I had ahead of time, and then I didn't have anything left. And I find that feeling of I don't want to make something that's worse, that's normal, and feels like a step backwards. So I feel like I don't want to make anything at all because I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of this perceived failure of not living up to this heightened sense of artistry that I feel like I achieved briefly. And once I realized that was it, when I feel like that after I've done pieces that I really love, that's the cause of it, it became a lot easier to think through it and reason through it. So when I'm thinking like that, it becomes a lot easier to remind myself that when I make my pieces in the past, ones that I really love and they still stick with me and they're some of my favorites, I didn't start that piece thinking, wow, this piece is going to be awesome and I'm always going to love it, or this is going to be a great idea and I'm going to execute it perfectly. It's usually a leap. I have to take that moment where I think, okay, I've done everything that I can, I prepared everything I can, and I just need to make this piece and make it happen. And I think that's a good reminder now, is that I can't make amazing art if I'm not making art. And I can't make amazing art if I'm not making normal art, if I'm not getting better, if I'm not practicing. Then I'm not going to have those brief moments where I feel like I really excelled where I previously was. So I think it's just a really good time to remind myself that like my average, my normal kind of art, that is a really good thing, because it's keeping me moving and it's keeping me making art and it's keeping me in this like rotation of getting into something that's really more creative and inspiring and exciting. And I did that one piece and it's amazing, and then maybe that tips me over into another piece, and eventually that baseline that I have will eventually rise up and it'll be better consistently every time, and I don't have to work hard every time to be at that level, if that makes sense. So really, I think with this kind of thing where I've felt like I just can't live up to those past few pieces that I've done, giving myself a reminder of how far I've already come and what actually just making art does for me really does help me kind of get out of that funk. I'm not saying that makes me immediately have a great idea or immediately have all of this like creative energy and excitement to be able to create a new piece, but it does usually help me actually make art. Whether it's good or it's bad, it doesn't really matter at that point. It's just art. It's progression. It's better. And I guess the flip side of the same coin is when I'm feeling uninspired and I take a minute to think about those past pieces that I've done to figure out really where I'm at. And really, this is, I think, crucial because everything that came before that moment where you're feeling uninspired, that's the roadmap that led you to that point. So it's really hard to sit there and diagnose where you're at when you don't want to draw without looking at everything that came before that, whether it is your artwork, and I'm focusing on that specifically, but it can be anything else, any other life events that can affect how you feel about creating art. And I know there are thousands of other reasons why you might feel like you don't want to draw, and really I'm only touching on kind of 2 of them, but they are really helpful to be very open-minded about thinking about it and reflecting on what you've gone through to get to that point. So anyways, the flip side of that same coin is when I realized that the past several pieces of work that I've done, I've felt really disappointed with, I guess you could say. I feel frustrated sometimes, or just kind of lackluster at them. Is that the right word? But I look at it and I think, wow, I really did worse this past few weeks, or I really just didn't live up to the kind of portfolio that I want to be creating, or whatever the case is. I can just look at those and I can remember feeling like it was good enough at the moment, but after doing several good enough pieces in a row, it really does start to wear down on me, and it makes me feel like I don't want to create bad artwork anymore. So if I don't make any art, then I can't make bad art, right? So yeah, I think that a lot of the mental things that I think about and I work through when I'm feeling like I can't live up to the stuff that I just created is kind of similar, because when I'm reaching this point where I feel like I just don't want to keep going down that same path, it can easily become something that is a negative. I feel uninspired and I don't want to draw. How many times can I say that in this video? But it can also be something that I can flip on its side and turn it into, okay, I want to make better art. What can I do to make stuff that I feel proud of or excited about, or even just excited to show people it? And this, I think, giving myself this opportunity and seeing it as an opportunity really changes my mindset when I get to that point and I think, okay, well, all of these past pieces that I've done, I've been making art, and that's good. So I need to give myself credit for that. But I'm at now a point where I can stop and give myself more thought. When I was doing those pieces, I wasn't really taking myself out of the moment to think about the overall grand scheme of art that I was making. And now that I'm feeling like I don't want to make more, I can use this as an opportunity to set myself aside and take a look at my portfolio and look at the past pieces that I've really loved that I've done. Look at artwork from other artists that I love, and just take a minute to think, okay, what kind of art would actually make me feel proud of creating it? And it doesn't have to be, I want to be 15 years better and I want to have all of these complete stylistic changes. A lot of times it's just something really simple, like the subject matter just wasn't interesting to me. And maybe I can choose something that I know I really love, and just doing a piece that's connected to something that has a really strong emotional connection, that can make me feel excited about making art again and feel like I can love pieces that I'm working on again. So I think that just having these really small little nuggets of things that I can put into my pieces that I've known in the past have made me really excited about them. Having that and writing it down on a list and focusing on just one of them and making a piece of art with just one in it, that just makes a huge difference. It gives me something to focus on and pay attention to. It brings me out of the moment where I can just get dug down working on just finishing the piece, and it helps me remember why I'm making art in the first place, where I want it to be in my life, and what I want it to do for myself and for others. And yeah, it's just, like I said, it's really a very mental thing. You just kind of have to think things through and think about how it's affecting you and how you want to actually be But like I said, it is also important to remember that the lack of inspiration that can come from so many different places, whether it's in your artwork or it's in your life outside of artwork. So I would love to hear from you guys if there's anything in particular that really helps you to get out of this kind of a mental space, and also if there's anything in specific that causes you to feel uninspired that you'd like me to talk about more in the future. I actually really love talking about this kind of topic because it's something that I actually think a lot about as I'm creating artwork and thinking about where I really want to take myself art-wise. But yeah, I would just love to hear kind of the things that you think about when you're thinking about non-art inspiration. And I've got a link down in the description that'll take you to my art shop where I've got originals and prints, vinyl stickers, lots of other art goodies. I also have a link to my Patreon, which is a great way to help support this channel and the artwork that I do. I am extremely grateful to all of my patrons over on Patreon. That means the world to me. But I do post Wednesdays and Saturdays here on YouTube, so I'll be back with another video real soon, and I can't wait to see you guys.